Welcome to the InterViews podcast.
Prima attenzione, Bobo anticipato, palla vagante, mette giù, recoba, il tiro,
Welcome, Interisti, to episode 159 of the InterViews podcast, the official podcast of SempreInter.com. We are here for the post-match reaction of the Derby d'Italia, Juventus-Inter, which finished 4-3 to the host at the Allianz Stadium. Goals from Lloyd Kelly in the 14th, Hakan Çalhanoğlu in the 30th, Kenan Yildiz in the 38th minute, Hakan Çalhanoğlu again in the 65th, Marcus Thuram in the 76th, Kefren Thuram in the 83rd, and Adzic in the 91st. That was so ridiculous to read out, genuinely. As always, I'm one half of your co-hosting duo, Alessandro Raffa, joined here by Johnny Paterno. I'm livid. And
yep.
I'll be really frank here. I'm seeing a bunch of different reasons for blame going around. I think some of it is off the mark, some of it is on the mark. But am I wrong to be looking at the play in live time where Kefren's arm goes up, Bonny goes down as if he's hit in the face, the ref puts his whistle in his mouth, then takes it down, Adzic scores this ridiculous goal, they review it, and there's nothing there? I haven't seen the close-up images, but to me, it looks like a robbery. It looks like an absolute robbery. I don't know if you've seen this, if you felt that in live time. Again, I haven't gone back to see the images. When they're doing the review, no images are shown. Bonetti and Chris Whittingham are just talking like as if it's, of course, it's not going to get struck down. So, what happened?
I mean, in live time, yeah, I thought it was a foul. But then when I don't know if you saw, I saw when they showed another angle of the goal, it looks like Thuram barely touches him, and Bonny goes down like he got slapped in the face. And to me, there was nothing in it, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm more disappointed with Sommer than anything. I don't know. This game was very frustrating, and I'll be honest, when we went up 3-2, I still didn't think we were going to win the game. I really didn't. I think you and I have been very, very positive with our thoughts on Chivu. Today, I thought a lot of things were wrong, from the starting 11 to just ideas that were taking place in the defensive half. I think there was stuff that I just didn't like, that we were with the players that we have right now. You just can't be playing the style of play that he wants to play, unfortunately. And you could put also blame on management for not bringing in the players that he needed. But I just think that this game is just a colossal embarrassment on many facets. And I think a lot of players need to really look at themselves in the mirror, and it was just frustrating. I'm trying to not lose it right now, because I don't want to sound erratic, but I'm pretty pissed off.
Yeah, I am too. I'm on the other side of that. I don't know what Chivu is at fault for as far as like any of the goals are concerned. If you want to go through them like one by one, we can do that. The goals that we conceded, at least, like I'm seeing like a player issue, like a big time player mentality, not in it to win it, just something wrong with the player's mentality. And I don't see as much as far as like tactically what could have been done differently, but obviously that's why we're here to talk about it. So you mentioned mistakes by Chivu in the starting 11. Like, what did you think was the issue?
I mean, I think this was a game that you do not play Acerbi. If you're going to be playing this high press, you cannot play him against this team.
What did Acerbi do wrong today?
Bro, did you not see him like turning like a fridge, getting cut up by, I think it was Openda towards the second half? Like,
That had no impact on the game.
It could have had a massive impact though. The guy was slow everywhere, dude. He was slow.
Acerbi is the last person to be like.
Acerbi's the last person. He's maybe not. All right, maybe not the first person, but I didn't like Acerbi starting. Okay, you asked me what I didn't like in the start. I didn't like Acerbi starting. I didn't like Mkhitaryan starting. You know, Carlos Augusto, I liked. That was one thing I was okay with. I did not like you have Petar Sucic. I don't care how young you think he is. I don't care how inexperienced you think he is. The kid has played big minutes in Champions League football. He's played big minutes for the Croatian national team. And, I saw people saying like, oh, he was saving him for Ajax. Buddy, I don't care about Ajax. I do not care. We could have gone out and lost that game 4-0. And I would have been, hey, at least we went out and tried to win the derby. But you played a guy in Mkhitaryan who is just cooked basmati rice, whatever you want to call him. He
wasn't even bad today, dude. Like
he wasn't great.
I mean,
what was he? What did he do that was like so good?
There are countless other players that we should be talking about other than like Acerbi or Mkhitaryan.
We could talk about Hakan defensively as well. Sure,
100%.
Sure, we want to go there. But you asked me. The question was, what did I not like about the starting 11? And I'm just telling you what I didn't like about the starting 11.
Okay.
Like, I didn't want to see Acerbi. I didn't want to see Mkhitaryan. There.
Okay. I mean, I don't think that those players, in particular, those two were the reason for the loss tonight. I mean, if you wanted to go ahead, if you want to say he should have started Sucic or he should have started Bisek?
I would have put Akanji in the middle and honestly Bisek on the right.
Okay.
Sure. You could disagree. I'm not going to get upset if you disagree. But
I disagree.
You just asked the question. And I answered the question.
All right. What else during the game regarding Chivu did you not like?
Just the towards the end of the first half when they took the 2-1 lead, I understand that they're playing a low block, but it's easy to play a low block when you have guys who just aren't able to either slip their man, able to dribble past their man. So when you play this lineup, granted, I don't know what could have been better in some aspects. Like Dumfries is not going to beat his man or dribble past his man. Same thing with Carlos Augusto. And I don't think starting DiMarco would have been good. But we were passing the ball back and forth along the back line. Nothing to try to break the line. And nobody up front, whether it was Thuram or Lautaro, was trying to do anything to make space for themselves, get into open space. So you're forcing your guys to just go back and forth, and then crossing it in to nobody. Not for nothing, none of our strikers are really that tall. So having Gatti, and then you have Bremer, who is a beast in the air. Lloyd Kelly, who I don't think is anything special, but he is taller than what we had out there. It's going to be easy for them to keep the ball out and not have anything go in. It just was this boring and predictable tactic that I just feel like Tudor we scored 3 goals. It was by pure wonder strikes from Hakan, and fortunately that Thuram slipped Kalulu that they were able to get 3. But we didn't create anything. It came out of like just pure moments of magic that these goals even happened for us. And it's because
you could say the same for Juventus' side as well. At least the Yildiz and the Adzic goal were both like,
which if we
what are you going to do?
A goalkeeper who was maybe 2 inches taller, neither of those things happened. And Sommer has been soft all year. All year. I'm not even going to blame it this game. All year he's been awful. And he still gets a start in this one. Maybe you don't start Joseph Martinez in this instance. Fine. Like I'm not going to get upset about it, though I would. We keep wanting to hear youth and see youth. We signed this guy, and he's rotting on the bench. And I truly think that he has a lot more to offer than what we have seen.
I agree.
And with Sommer, the first goal, I don't want to blame him because honestly, like, that's on 2 things. I think Hakan being lazy, Dumfries allowing, not turning back to look at the ball and just allowing Bremer to get a wonder pass in to Lloyd Kelly, of all people. And it really is a great finish. But you have Sommer doing his laser eyes nonsense. He's turned into Handanovic already. And it wasn't even like a gradual decline. At least Handanovic was a gradual decline. Sommer has fallen off a cliff. And I'm just sick and tired of, like, we hang on to these relics and we think that because a person has age and has played X amount of games that he suddenly brings a wealth of experience and ability to a like. If you're finished, you're finished. It doesn't matter how old you are. You're finished. And you keep signing these guys just for what? For what? For what? I guarantee probably after this year, Martinez decides, we decide that we're going to go after another goalkeeper because, this guy became available, or, this guy's Italian and we want to bring in an Italian to play for Inter, or whatever nonsense excuse that we want to, like, throw out there in the media that I'm sure, we'll see that loser Biasin come out with. Fucking play the kid. Play him. And he's probably going to play against Ajax. Watch, he'll probably play against Ajax and then have like nothing to do all game. And we'll be back here for the next Serie A match with Sommer in net, and it's fucking crazy. And then we brought on Darmian. In this game, another guy who we were seeing in training getting turned by everybody and anybody. It's all about just age and experience, and I'm fucking tired of it.
Okay, for Sommer, we're like, what would have been Chivu's reasoning for having benched Sommer going into this match?
No, he wouldn't have. He wouldn't have one. And I said, like, I'm okay with you starting him, but I just think that he's done. Like, you saw how he played the second match. Like, it's.
I agree. I agree, and I think we both said that we were hoping for a goalkeeping competition this summer, where it didn't really feel like that was the case. I did see someone tweeting like, "Oh, Chivu's the same as Inzaghi. Like, you waited 3 months to play Onana." I mean, I don't know. Like, it is 3 matches into the season. We're not even halfway through the first, or we are just halfway through the first month of the season. So, it remains to be seen how it plays out between Sommer and Joseph Martinez. But like, as a managerial decision to start Sommer, I don't think that necessarily is a mistake. I think the mistake is with the player. And I think it's the same thing with each of Juventus's goals. I have a problem with how Akanji closed out Kelly. I don't think it was strong enough. I mean, he got relatively close, but then it's this thing where, like, you stand like a statue and you watch the ball go by you instead of, like, go to your man. Like, I don't think if you told Akanji, was that as close as you can get? Was that the best closeout you can do on Lloyd Kelly? I don't think he'd say yes. And that's a problem. For their second goal, Hakan doesn't have the ability to cover the ground to close down a player like a Yildiz anymore. He just doesn't. Like, defensively, there are a lot of issues. And I agree with you, if you're going to be playing this aggressive style of football, the better fit back there is someone who has the ability to cover a lot more ground than Hakan can. That is a lack of again, getting tight to your man and tracking your man in between the lines, which I put on both Hakan and Chivu in that instance to play him back there. Maybe it is Barella or Sucic that has to be back there. And a lot of people saying, like, Sucic can't play Regista. Like, I don't know that. I need to see it to understand whether or not that is the case. I think he's more effective being closer to the opposition box, but I don't know that he can't play back there. I at least have the confidence that he has a greater range of defensive cover than Hakan does. And of course, all of our mistakes get punished and highlighted. It happens like more frequently to Inter than it does to other teams. Like it's always like every shot on target that comes from a mistake from Inter, it always goes in. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And it's on the player for allowing a Kenan Yildiz to get that much space. Like you obviously know that he has that in his bag, but it's like, come on, man. You know, it's like Barella's volley in the first half, like just misses wide. But of course, Kenan's not going to put his wide from there. It's just like this crazy fucking thing that always happens to Inter. The mistakes always get fucking punished. And that's not to say like, oh, it's bad luck that Inter is. No, those are legitimate mistakes that it's on the players and the manager to figure it the fuck out. But it's just like, of course that's going to fly in. The third goal from Kefren Turam, like, how is Zielinski the guy that's on him on the set piece? Like, how? It's just like, how? What is going on? What is going on? That is obviously something that they're going to want to target. I don't remember who was in front or who was behind, but to me, again, it's a mentality thing of like, guys,
in front or behind who? Turam, you're saying?
In front or behind of Zielinski. Zielinski was the closest one to Turam, if I remember.
Behind Zielinski was Akanji.
Was Akanji. And then in front of him was Bastoni?
Yes.
And
but Bastoni also had another Juve player behind him, if I'm not mistaken. So
he did. And I thought Akanji was weak in general on the defensive set pieces today. Vlahovic got his head on one. And so what I was saying earlier about the mentality where it's the game situation is you're holding a 1-0 lead away from home in the Derby d'Italia. If there's a set piece like that close to your box, you have to be fucking pinpoint. It can't happen that Thuram is being marked by Zielinski. It can't happen. Someone has to recognize that. There are a few people that they're trying to get the ball to, and Thuram is one of them. And then the fourth goal, again, I haven't seen the close-up. Sorry, I lost my voice fucking screaming. I haven't seen the close-ups of it, but I thought Bonnie had gotten fouled. And, even if he didn't, strike from distance like that, Sommer got a hand on it too.
He didn't even run onto the ball. He's standing still.
And
you let him put that, like, that's pathetic. That's pathetic. I'm sorry. Like,
and Sommer gets a hand on the ball.
Everybody knows I've been such a big Sommer fan. But my gosh, this was, first of all, we saw it coming. We saw this whole thing coming with Sommer, his ability. We saw it at the Club World Cup. He just wasn't sharp and he didn't look good. Then we saw it in the first match where, yes, we didn't give up a goal, but he did look slow. And he was like doing the same thing with the laser eyes. Okay, we didn't give up a goal. Fine, we kept a clean sheet. All right. The Udinese game didn't look good. And now today, he has fallen off a huge cliff and hit like warp speed to be able to crash into the ground the way that he has fallen off. That goal, I put 2 goals on him. The Yildiz one, like, you see it coming and you see him just so slow to move to his right and then gets just a hand on it. And I had a stupid Juventino tweeting at me like, oh, no goalkeeper in the world saves that. Donnarumma saves that comfortably.
Sommer last year against Yamal showed me that, should have been him being able to make that save. And now that it's not there.
I can name other goalkeepers if you want. Courtois, it's just, it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. And look, I'm not going to be on one of the people that says that, Chivu needs to get fired for this loss. Our good friend Nick Diani thinks so. I'm going to disagree. But I do think that he did get things wrong. Not speaking about Sommer specifically. But I think he needs to look at what his tactics are and maybe modify it a little bit. maybe we don't have such a high line and try to play this high press game, because you see with the age of the players how quickly they do look to be fatigued, and it's not just Mkhitaryan and Acerbi. Hakan looked to get fatigued pretty fast. Barella didn't play the greatest game, but I also didn't think he should have been the first midfielder off, but that's just me. It's just we don't have the pace to be able to do this, to have guys that can recover. If a guy is able to find space and slip through a defender, he's off to the races. I want it to work, and it's not just because he's a treble legend. I think it's also because I do think that there is signs of promise. We saw it at Parma. I know, people want to make fun of him and only having 13 games as a manager, but it's just, I'd rather these things unfortunately happen at the beginning. You don't want them to happen into a Derby d'Italia, but it gives you time to make adjustments and hopefully learn from these things. And I think that he'll be able to, hopefully. But I do also think, I guess it's a good thing that, Mourinho and Mancini are available if, God forbid, if this becomes a disaster. I don't want it to be, but I think that we need. I hope that he looks at this as like, okay, I can't rely on Jan Sommer anymore, like I thought I could, and decides to give not just in the Champions League, because quite honestly, we could punt the Champions League for all I care. Truly, I don't want to miss out on another opportunity for a Scudetto. I don't.
Okay. Regarding the, I'm just gonna give my thoughts on Chivu here. For the style of play, and I tweeted this at halftime, Juve was not coming out of that block. They were not coming out of that block. If you wanted to drop deeper and try to force them to press, they did do that. When you had mentioned like this boring, passing it around, they were doing it. The reason why it was boring and it wasn't effective is because Juve wasn't coming out of that block. So then it becomes, how are you breaking down that low block? Like, what are you going to do? Either, like you had mentioned, we don't have the strikers up top to be able to pump balls into the box. You do have one on the bench in Pio, but again, like Bremer, he would likely greater than 50% chance that he nullifies Pio in that respect. So you can't pump balls in the box, and what you have to do is you have to try to find runners. You have to do combinations to get in behind, or you have players that can beat their man and, disrupt a low block like that. The players don't exist for that. And when they did try these combinations a few times, looked good. Carlos got in behind a few times. Mickey in the first half got in behind. I thought bringing Zielinski and Boni on was a good idea. I wouldn't have done it for Barella. I would have done it for Hakan. Obviously, you can make the argument that I'm wrong about that because Hakan ends up getting his second there, and tying the game. But I thought for what the game situation was calling for, which this game was very simply boiled down to, Juve was in a low block. What is Inter going to do to unlock it? And then when there were turnovers, what was Inter going to be able to do on the break? We got hurt today once on the break, and it was the Yildiz goal where Hakan wasn't covering. Everything else was two set pieces and the Adzic strike, which wasn't on a counter by Juventus. So, when we talk about like criticizing Acerbi or whatever, I thought they actually did a fairly Juve didn't do that good of a job of like countering us. And then it becomes about this low block thing, which we have to find a solution. We have to find a solution. Whether it is playing with, a double pivot and someone behind the strikers, someone like it could be Zielinski that is that number 10. I at least try it. But this is going to be Inter's problem. They don't have the players to break down the low block. Changing the strategy to play more like Inzaghi, possession based, I don't know that really is going to change anything. I don't think it's going to change anything. The other team can make the decision to sit back and still try to hit us on the counter. We need another player to make an impact in the zone right in front of the box. Whether it be by, a combination to make a run in behind, or whether it be that they're skilled enough and have the ability to put the ball on target that it forces defenders to close them out. That is what this entire season is going to hinge on. Finding that solution. And today we didn't have it. Can you say that, management didn't give the players to Chivu to be able to provide the answer to that solution? 100%. 100%. But if I'm out on Chivu, I'm not out on Chivu. The idea is correct. We can't play this kind of side to side, slowly up the field kind of football anymore. The stuff that worked when we were getting the ball into the final third quickly. There were a few times with Thuram where, he was able to dribble up the pitch a little bit. Bonni, I thought, looked great in the hold-up play as the target man with the layoffs. And sorry, I'm going off on such a tangent.
No,
here,
you're fine.
One more thing to say. There are a couple players that can make this difference that I really, really believe in the final third. And it's a matter of how are we going to get them into the lineup, and tactically, how are they going to do it? Sucic and Zielinski can make a difference there. I think Sucic is much more creative in the final third than people give him the credit for. And I think Zielinski is as well. Ultimately, how this team is going to look moving forward, I believe a solution is there with Sucic and Zielinski. I don't know if you have any reaction to everything I just said. And again, I'm sorry for going off on a tangent, but it's just vomit at this point.
Well, first off, I just want to say real quick, sorry for snapping like that. Obviously, I let this whole situation get the better of me. I love you, so I don't. I
love you, brother.
I don't take it. I didn't mean to get that angry or worked up with you, but
no, it's the game.
I agree. I agree with you about Zielinski and Sucic for sure. I think that they are players that can unlock this low block. And if you think about it too, I think teams are going to look at this and say, look at how open they are at the back, that we can hit them on the counter if they keep doing this. And they'll just sit in the low block and say, they can't beat us if we do this. At best, we'll get a tie. Or I guess at worst, we'll get a tie is what they're saying. So we do need to find ways to get these players into the lineup. And like you said, maybe it is a double pivot where maybe you have, Sucic and Barella in the back, Zielinski up front, and then you could have Zielinski and Sucic, overlap one another and change positions, have that fluidity. It could lead to chances. Maybe you do something, where I'll be honest, Lautaro has looked the last couple games at least a little out of place and not looking like himself. Don't know if that's because of him being frustrated with how teams are playing against us and he's not able to find that space and to be able to get in on the end of passes or crosses. Maybe you do try, Boni and Thuram up top because that, one, how strong, Boni is, like you said, at the hold-up play. And two, that they both have pace, they both have dribbling abilities that they are able to defeat, beat their man if they have to. It could be solutions for this.
It looks good, did it not? Boni Thuram?
It did. What I'm worried about, and this is my only true concern with Chivu, is he going to make those changes fast enough to be able to listen? It's 3 matches. I'm not going to say the season is over. Right now, it feels like the world is falling apart. I'm not going to lie and sit here like I'm happy or okay with this. I mean, you guys heard it. I just fucking lost my mind for a second. But if you are going to salvage this season and you are going to be able to recover and make up the 6 points that now you are behind, the leaders, and that's obviously pending how other matches play out, but you have to be able to turn this around quickly to be able to not only gain the ground, but also be able to maybe set separation for yourselves if you are able to take the lead. I hope that Chivu does make those adjustments. You know, it's not something that I think a manager with only 15 games of first team coaching experience may be able to do, but he has worked with great managers. You know, he has been with Mancini, Mourinho. I'm not going to sit here and disrespect, Benitez, but he was considered a great manager in some, not at Inter, but he did work with it. You know, like, are you going to be able to make those adjustments? I hope he is, and that we're able to not only turn it around for the upcoming matches that we have, but also for the follow-up or the return leg, I guess you could say, with Juve. Losing to them, I think, upsets me more than losing to Milan. I think I've really come to that realization. Although I hate both, Juve I hate another level. And when you we took the lead, and I truly thought we were still going to lose. I just did not feel good about this game at all, and especially because of the way Sommer had been playing, I thought that things would happen that would probably bounce their way. You could listen. I only saw one angle of the Bony getting hit by Thuram. It didn't look like a foul to me. Maybe it is from the reverse angle. But at the end of the day, you have to make that save. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, especially if you get your hand on it. Especially if you get your hand on it.
You got both hands on it. That's that. How weak are you that a strike from that distance, which didn't look all that powerful? Nope. I mean, it was a good, clean hit. I'm not going to say it wasn't. But it wasn't like a Roberto Carlos free kick from that range. You know, like there was no insane amount of venom on it. And you get both hands. You have to make that save, and it's kind of crazy to me that you just allow that to happen, especially at that moment in the game. And I'm sick to my stomach right now. I really am. It's disturbing.
I think we've touched on, from a tactical perspective, what questions we need to find answers to. We got burnt once in the defensive transition, but the question is, like, it can't just be Hakan to cover that ground. We need a solution there. And finding that solution, because you do need to shore up defensively before you start thinking about, let's put 3 or 4 past our opponent every time. That's the first question to answer. The second question is, what is the configuration to unlock Inter in the final third? Because you're not going to be a sit back and counter team. Even if you wanted Chivu to stop with this high press and with the aggression to get the ball into the final third quickly, if you say Inter doesn't have the personnel to do that, you can't say that Inter has the personnel to sit back and hit on the counter either. Unless you're starting Luis Enrique, you trust Luis Enrique, unless you're sitting down Lautaro and going with Thuram and Bony every game, they don't have it. So, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You can finish it. I'll remember what I want to say.
So I think from a tactical perspective, those are the answers that we need to find. I have another big issue with this team that I think we need to address, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Before I ask the question, you had something you wanted to say about those points? I
mean, just out of curiosity, like, in your opinion, would you rather have brought on Luis Enrique than Darmian in that instant?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
If Dumfries didn't need to come off, my first thing would have been Dumfries doesn't need to come off.
Sure. I would agree with that.
My second thing is, like, obviously I don't prefer Darmian as a player to Luis Enrique, but I do have concerns about putting in Luis Enrique in the final 15 minutes of Juventus Inter. It would have, I don't know. I have my concerns with that as well.
And that's fair. I don't think it's wrong to have concerns about that. I just think that knowing how that they were trying to go at us at the counter to bring on somebody with less pace and less recovery speed, I think would have been, it was a little crazy. Sure, maybe Luis Enrique was not ready for this moment, And who knows? Maybe he does something that leads to a goal that would have made it 5-3 instead of 4. I mean, I don't know. But I don't think Darmian really offered anything. And one thing that, I mean, granted, this had nothing to do with his pace, but like towards the end of the game, I don't know if you remember that throw-in he had where he threw it to one. It was like the worst throw-in I've ever seen, and to nobody.
The worst area you could put it in. Like that's exactly where they would have want you to throw it. Yeah.
I'm like, what is that? It was pretty.
But how can Chivu account for that? And I think
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not saying that that's what you're saying, but I think the question for Chivu in that moment ultimately becomes, do I care more about being a little bit less defensively secure, but forcing Juve into a situation where they have to deal with a counterattack potentially from Luis Enrique, or I have a lead 3-2. Do I care about shoring things up a little bit away from home? And in hindsight, we are always going to have the right answer. But in the moment, I can see what he was thinking. Now, again, like, is he responsible for Darmian throwing it like that? No. Is he responsible for, Darmian wasn't the one marking Thuram on the free kick. And this is ultimately where I want to take things. The big part of this next, outside of just tactically what Inter has to change. Mentally, when you say something like, I don't have the confidence when Inter is up 3-2, that you're feeling probably the nervous you felt all game, because I felt that too. And it had nothing to do with the tactics in that moment. The fear and the anxiety that I was feeling had everything to do with the fragility from a mental standpoint for this Inter side right now. The anxiety was coming from like, they're gonna do something stupid. They're gonna throw this away. They're not the lockdown team that we've been in the past. And it's not a tactical thing. It's a mental like lapse where they just like in the moment are not locked the fuck in, or don't have the mentality of like, you're not even getting a shot off. I'm not even going to give you the space to get a shot off. Where is that? Why is that not there anymore?
Yes. I wish I had an answer for you, to be honest. It's crazy because I feel like there were times where we would grab like a lead late like this and we would shut down shop and you would not have to worry about a thing. Yeah, maybe they would get a couple shots off on goal, but that's because, either it pinballed in or they just happened to find, a bit of space that made, a massive amount of difference. But there's no sense of security with this team. And it feels like you said, there is a fragility mentally with this group. And I don't know if it's because I'm not just going to pin it on the PSG drubbing, but I do think that it's like a combination of how, we lost the Scudetto, we lost the Supercoppa, just the way we went about losing everything. I think that just happened to play a factor, unfortunately, and it just seems like that these guys can't seem to overcome that. And it's not just the players that I don't like. I mean, you could see it with Barella, Hakan, Lautaro, maybe to a degree Bastoni as well, that it just feels like there's that killer instinct or that trust that we have this. We can finish this off. Like, we have the players, which you do. That's also the frustrating thing, is that it's not that we're a talentless bunch, but it feels like that there is no reliance on one another, or thinking or trust that your teammate can pick you up if you make a mistake, or trusting that they will be able to handle marking their man, or whatever the case may be. It's just, I mean, who knows? Maybe Mourinho is the right guy that you have to bring in. I'm not saying that I want Chivu fired, but like, maybe he's the kind of guy, or is the guy that brings that shift in mentality. Because it has, if you really think about it, it has gradually faded away since Conte left.
Yeah.
Like, we had
the only time was the run-in to the second star, where you felt like they had
100%.
this mentality of, I'm not giving an inch of this rope to you. I'm not letting it slip at all. that was the only time with this team.
Yeah.
I think there is the devastating losses that you mentioned in the run-in for, like, we were in for the treble until late in the season last year. It's those combined with this, the Hakan saga. Like him, if we're being intellectually honest with each other, Hakan wanted to leave this summer. We heard from Benatia at Marseille talking about how they got in contact with Pavard's agents in April and started that conversation. So it's just like you have a couple players who maybe don't want to be there anymore. Then you have like this summer where it was clear that like our directors got shat on. And it was also clear for some players in the squad that probably felt uneasy about, are they going to go or are they going to stay? There was, a lack of clarity around the Acerbi de Vrij renewals. There was Bisek was getting offers. Obviously the situation with Hakan, they wanted Aslani kicked out. Mkhitaryan was staying. They brought in Sucic, Fratesi. They weren't sure, that there was rumors about that. Dumfries with the expiration of his clause. There was rumors that he was going to be on his way out. There was rumors early in the summer about Thuram leaving. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that breaks cohesion within a squad. And that has been, and especially what happened with Inzaghi. So since April, let's say, of this year, little things have been chipping away at the most important thing a squad can have that is challenging for things. And that is that, like, everyone is locked in singularly on a goal. And it's clear to see that that's how it's playing out. And I can argue very easily that Inter has been the superior team in all 3 games they've played this season. But I cannot argue that they've been the mentally stronger team in all 3 games this season. Udinese took their shots and they got it done. Same thing with Juventus today. They just I didn't see a panic from them. I didn't see at any point in time that they felt like they were out of it. And it should feel like that. When you go up 3-2 and you're playing Inter, it should feel like, fuck, we're at home losing to a fucking juggernaut. And I didn't see you feel that at all. This is where it's not only just this, it's like mentally, tactically, something is deeply wrong. Something is deeply wrong. And I'm very, very worried. And I'm not blaming Chivu. I'm not blaming all of the players. But there's definitely a cohesion issue mentally within the squad. And there's definitely a mismanagement from the board this summer that has hurt this team. A team that should be challenging for the Scudetto, a team that should be challenging to go far in Europe, they hurt this team. I don't know if you have anything else to say about that before we get into some of these individual player performances.
Nah, nothing about that. I mean, I would just be echoing the same thing that you said. So
today was Akanji's debut. What do you make of our new signing?
I think I do think it was the right call to start him. Funny enough, but he did make mistakes, like you said. I think that when you get thrown into a game of this magnitude, I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but you're not really. You maybe had 3-4 trainings with your new teammates.
Less than maybe that, probably because of the international break.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe 3. I would say maybe 3 trainings. You're getting accustomed to what your new manager expects from you. You go from playing a specific style that you were doing with Pep to now having what Chivu has expected for you. I think that this was in some ways a little expected. I did like some things. I thought his passing was great. I thought he pinged a few long balls that were beautifully played, which you never saw Pavard do. So I'm not going to give him be too harsh, because I do think that there is a player there and a player that we needed. But maybe starting him this game. Listen, I think he was right because he was the best player of what we had available. But maybe starting him was not the best call because of his unfamiliarity with the league, his teammates, and everything. Just possible. That's all.
I thought from a Inter in possession standpoint, I thought he gave the team exactly what they needed, which was he was being aggressive with his long balls directly into the strikers, which we've spoken about, on the podcast right before this. We talked about his ability to switch the play if we needed it. He hit some beautiful switches today too. So I thought in possession, he looked really good. I did not like defensively some of the closeouts. I don't think were strong enough. And I thought on the defensive set pieces, I expect more from him. I really, really do. And I'm in the same camp as not wanting to tear him apart as you are, given that this is his first game. But he needs to toughen up. Our entire back line needs to toughen up.
Yeah, everybody. And I know Bastoni. I love Bastoni. I know he's played some great games even this season. But I think he needs to toughen up as well.
There are too many 50-50 balls that you feel like Inter is losing. And that happened all across the pitch today too. Even in the midfield, some of the challenges where it's like they challenge and a ball is now up for grabs and somehow the Juventus player was able to come up with it. There were a few times with Barella and Mkhitaryan where they and Hakan where they made a challenge and like the ball is live, but there's no like second attempt there's no like finishing the play. Like you got to finish the play. And despite the Juve players being knocked off or being dispossessed for a moment, they finished the play and they won those 50-50s. That has to change. That has to change. Let's talk about Hakan a little bit. 2 beautiful goals.
Yeah.
Don't know who else in the team has that in their locker. I think you would argue Barella does, but we haven't seen it in a while. Defensively, didn't have it today. Where are you with Hakan? If we're moving forward with either a 2 or a 3 in the midfield, was today a performance that makes you say, like, okay, that spot is his because of what he can bring in the final third if he gets the ball at the top of the box and if there's going to have difficulties breaking down a low block? Or was it the defensive performance that makes you say, no, you can come in and be a weapon later in the game?
Yeah, I think the defensive performance outweighs the 2 wonder goals because they're just that, wonder goals, right? It's not like he did anything in terms of the build-up or setting things up in a manner. It just happened that he was able to run it in the right place in the right time. Augusto played him a beautiful ball, and he was able to strike it strongly with his left foot with nobody really there. The second goal is a bit of luck, to be honest. I'm not discrediting how incredible it was to be able to chest it, control it, and fire that through.
That was
But there was
beautiful.
also 5 Juventini right there, and not a single one of them got a touch on it. A little fortunate. Locatelli seemed to try to put his head in, and maybe he got a little scared off that he would deflect it in the wrong way and whatever. But Zielinski was the one who headed the ball to him to be able to score that as well. Like, you had things kind of play out and fall to you in a way that allowed you to have those moments. The defensive things, that's a mental aspect where you're just not really there mentally and you're allowing players to slip past you, or you're not really focused on the defensive part of your game. And how often are those opportunities where he's able to score really going to come to him? We don't know. But he's always going to be in a position as our regista to have to play defensively. And if you're not going to bring that, I don't know. Like, I think that negative aspect outweighs the ability to score wonder goals, in my opinion. I would be more concerned with that going forward. Because, like, what happens if the balls aren't coming to him? Is that going to frustrate him? Is that going to weigh on him and allow him to take him out further from the game? Who knows? And I don't want to have us be put in that type of position again, and then things just fall apart for us.
And also, like, he wasn't closed out on either of those wonder goals. Like, he had all the time in the world. So if the threat of him is not drawing defenders out, then you might as well have Barella or Sucic or Zielinski in that position. Like, at least there might be more of a, you know, if the defenders are not going to respect Hakan, then they're probably not going to respect Barella, Sucic, or Zielinski, and at least those three probably have more of the clock in their head of like, okay, now I'm going to run at you. You gave me the space, I'm running at you, which is like what, you know, kind of what we want. So I'm 110% in the same camp as you, where the defensive performance is the thing that you have to look at. I'm not what he does in the final third. I think we have other solutions that can do that. It's what he does on the track back, on the transition, that is an issue. He had to lose most of his duels today. He had to be the reason why those passes broke the lines. They weren't closed off, or, you know, he wasn't closing down. So for me, you know, and we talked about this again earlier in the season, put Barella back there. If it means Sucic is going to play in the right, and like, I didn't hate what Mkhitaryan did today. It's the same things of like the giveaways, but he actually, you know, I think defensively was pretty good. And I think that he started some counterattacks. What?
Just looking at, like, I just pulled up Thought Mob. Yeah. And it's just, it's kind of funny how just how they weigh certain things. He actually won 3 of 4 ground duels, though.
It didn't feel like that in lifetime.
It really didn't either. I would have agreed with you, but he gets a 9.3 rating because he scored
2 shots from outside the box.
2 shots from outside the box with a 0.27 xG. Like, that's probably what they're weighing.
The wingbacks, Augusto and Dumfries today. What did you think of their performances? I have no problem with Augusto starting over Di Marco in this game. 0. Obviously, Dumfries has to be on the other side. I don't know why it felt like Dumfries wasn't. He got a lot of the ball, right? Like he had a lot of touches down there. Yeah. But it felt like the end product was not there.
Yeah, I felt like there was a lot missing from his game. I felt like for long stretches of it, he was unnoticed. And honestly, the only thing that stands out to me is how, you know, he just wasn't the most, I guess, aware of what was happening on the first goal with Bremer there. That's my only thing that I remember from him. Augusto, I also didn't really notice him. There was a few times he did cross the ball into the box where things didn't really play out the way I think he wanted. I know one time Thuram wanted the ball in the air, not on the ground. And another one just wasn't able to get it to, I believe it was Lauti on the far post, but he did have an assist. I do feel better with him defensively for sure. I think that he's a much more composed defender when he has to track back as a left wing back. But it just felt like he was kind of unnoticed as well for most of the game. And maybe that's a good thing in some aspects, but like, I don't know.
I have a question about the team form.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that it might be better for this team? I'm not arguing that 3 points out of a potential 9 is a good thing. I'm more so talking about bad stretches. Right now, what it puts Inter is like you're in the hole. Like you cannot waste time. Like you have to get after it. You have to be chasing. And for the past few years, it's not been about the chase. Like it's been about you're at the top or, you're right near, like you're a few points behind. This we're a minimum 6 points back. So do you think for a team that needs a kick in the ass, it's better for them to be in a position to chase now and like you have to execute, like you have to figure stuff out. You've suffered 2 backbreaking losses early in the season. Like now, you know what? After years of being on top, maybe what this team needs is to be the chasers, the hunters at the back of the pack, fighting and scrapping to get that mentality back, as opposed to being on top and, constantly having the pressure of every game being, fending off everybody else. I don't know if I worded that correctly, but you get the sentiment that I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I think I do understand like what you're saying there. I think and the only thing I'm really worried about with you posing that question is that some people are going to take it out of context, and they are going to take it like that we are saying that we're okay with them being behind right now, which, like you said even before you finished, like that's not what you're trying to say, but someone is going to take it that way and be upset in whatever manner.
Let's kill it right now. Johnny and I firmly believe that 3 points out of a potential 9 is not good enough. It is a failure.
The only thing that I think, yes, it could give you that we need to like grab it by the scruff of the neck and move forward with this. But the only thing that also scares me is because you have an inexperienced manager is, does the pressure, not just for him, but for the team as well, become too much to handle? And that they start to overthink every little thing, and they start to like take every little instance that goes wrong as like, oh shit, here we go. And they just let it continue to like snowball into this giant negativity thing. I hope these are professionals. That's the thing that bothers me too. Like, you've been in adversity. Some of these guys have played for Italy in the Euros in 2020 or 2021, and they had to overcome adversity there and were able to do it. We were able to see it in the first Scudetto win with Conte, where you had some instances like winning out games or holding on to a draw, like to be able to secure those points that allowed you to beat Juve that year to get the Scudetto. Like the year that we won it with Inzaghi, unfortunately, like that was like probably, that might have not a bad thing, but it was almost too easy that we had such a big gap and such a big lead that we were able to secure the title at such an early state that it almost felt like, oh, we don't know, like
it creates an arrogance.
Yeah, like a sense of like, we're Inter, like you're gonna fold when you see us just get on the pitch. And a lot of these guys just haven't been good enough in the last couple of years. Lautaro just hasn't been what we saw the year we won the Scudetto. Barella hasn't been himself for maybe, I don't know, a few months at the very bare minimum. But the thing that's frustrating too about him is like, you see the moments of brilliance, you see the instances, like you see the way he struck that ball beautifully, like was able to track it and narrowly missed the goal. Like truly unfortunate, because he deserved it with the way he struck that ball. But it's like, how are you going to react from this? I got upset with Huion because he was, we were in a space earlier today, and he said that, oh, this gym teacher is not going to be able to beat Juve, talking about Chivu.
Mm-hmm.
But then he went on to say later that, oh, these guys don't need a manager because they know how to play. They know what's expected. And I said, like, then it doesn't matter that Chivu's the manager. If that's how you think, like, if you feel that the players are good enough, or they know what's expected of them, or they know how to play, or they know how to perform, then they don't need a manager, based on your own argument, which was kind of just like driving me insane.
They should have the maturity to manage these moments from a mentality perspective.
Without a
question. Is this not the same team that held their cool at 3-2 against Barcelona at home long enough for Acerbi to tie the game? Like, is that not the same team?
You would think, right? And it's just like, I don't like that you're blaming this manager as the only scapegoat when some of the players are part of the problem as well. And I mean, just looking at the match ratings, I mean, Sommer was the worst, but then Bastoni, they said, which I don't know if I would agree with that, but whatever. And it's like, these guys, though, have been here long enough to know what it means to wear these colors, to know what it means to play against Juve in a derby, to know what it means to the fans. And it shouldn't matter who is on the bench. Yes, you need a little bit of a motivator and someone who maybe has the right ideas tactically, but like, you should be able to implement those ideas and carry them out. And it's like, are we going to overcome this at some point and step up to the plate and be able to be the team that we as fans think that we have at our disposal? Like, it's getting exhausting to constantly say we have the best team on paper, we have the most depth or whatever, which it wasn't really saying much last year when you compared us to the rest of Serie A, if you really look at it. Mm-hmm. But now we have improved the depth. We have the look at who we were able to bring off the bench today: Di Marco, Zielinski, Bonni, Sucic, and like, you still had Diouf if you wanted, Henrique, Pio, Fratesi. He hasn't even gotten a minute. He gets called off for Italy, but he hasn't sniffed a minute. Granted, I don't think that he would have been the player to break down a low block, in my opinion, but we have players, like, why aren't we able to just unlock that confidence to just, be able to, like, all right, we're down right now. It's not over. We have this. And speaking of, like, not like, what am I reading into Thuram not celebrating?
I was just going to ask you if you thought that was weird. Both him not celebrating and also laughing towards the end of the game after the 4-3. Yep.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Yeah, I don't even know where to go with that one.
Like, I don't want to start like making assumptions and stuff.
Is it like your father played for them, so whatever,
you're showing respect? You don't want to upset your dad brother or something?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know.
But I wasn't a fan. And the way, like, Keppin equalized and he exploded.
Yep.
I was
and also the conversation this summer that Juve was interested in him too. Yeah. Did not like that.
Nope.
Are we still believers in Chivu? Separately, are we still believers in Chivu ball? Thirdly, are we still believers in the squad?
Believer in Chivu. I'm on the fence right now. It's how you react that I'll like. If we lose against Ajax and we struggle against Sassuolo, I don't know.
If you lose, if Ajax and Sassuolo are not 6 points, then yeah. Because less so because of if he makes adjustments, is what it is. But then I would start to get concerned more about the players in the locker room having suffered backbreakers early in the season that all of a sudden, like, mentally it takes them out. And at that point in
Agreed.
time, it's like, yeah, you can put anyone back there. I mean, maybe Mourinho, Mancini, but like, then for me, it feels like this is a season long problem. Like that the revolution should have happened this summer.
Yeah, I would agree. And then with with Chivu Ball, again, it's like I got to see what adjustments he's able to make. Is he going to actually make those adjustments? I don't know. I truly don't. I want him to, to see him make those changes and be able to recoup and like the players are saying all the right things about, the influence that he's having on the locker room, the influence he's having on the players, the trust that he's having in them.
Yep.
But you also have to perform for the manager. It doesn't matter that, he says all the things that you want and kind of makes you feel, nice and fuzzy. You need to step up and perform for your manager and make him feel like, he's equally as important in this whole grand scheme of things. The players themselves, I think I like a lot of what has been brought in. I think I've liked what Zielinski has done too. He did come out and say that he has a point to prove to Interisti and that he wants to make up for last season. And I think that I'm seeing it so far. I like when the influence he's had when he's come on. I feel comfortable when he's on the ball. I do think that maybe a little bit more of a revolution should have happened with the squad. Maybe like a big drastic change, whether it be, Hakan out and you bring, I don't know, Frendrup in. I'm not saying that he's the same level, but like, I don't think we were going to get Hjulmand. Obviously, Rovella wasn't realistic.
Stiller,
I don't know why we weren't interested, but he was a name that we didn't hear. We heard Frendrup. Maybe you do something like that and kind of shake it up a little more. And I don't know, maybe Thuram should have been sold too, perhaps. I think he's done great scoring 3 goals, but like I wanted to see what I saw today, is what I did not like, and it concerns me that maybe he's already thinking about next steps or the black and white side of Serie A. I don't know. And again, I'm probably just speculating or reading too into something. But I wish that things would have changed a little bit. If Frattesi's not going to be used, which I didn't think he was going to fit in this system to begin with, why didn't we sell him? Why were we so reluctant? Like, I know Newcastle wanted a loan only with an option. I'm sure you could have tried to get an obligation with some easily achievable targets that could have, made it become a, oh my gosh, what's it? An obligation for him to be picked up. Yeah. So,
and plus you get all the discourse this summer about Chivu being in love with Frattesi, and then he's not the guy that he goes to in the final minutes of this game. All right, let me answer that question. I am still yes on all 3. And I believe that for like good reason, and you guys can come out and say you're just like this kind of guy, which, probably more optimistic than most. But if I'm being, again, intellectually honest with you guys, Inter have been the better team these 3 games. And it's been things that have fallen apart that I believe are fixable. So the test for me with Chivu, and I believe in him, but the test for me is going to be, is he going to have the courage to make some changes as far as the personnel is concerned and send a message, whether that be Sommer to the bench, whether that be Hakan to the bench, whether that be Lautaro to the bench, and see what Bonni Thuram looks like. Not that Dumfries needs to go to the bench, but more so, does he have the courage to change things up and to put some of these guys that have been in a position where their spots have not been challenged for so long and to put them in a position where it's like, earn it again. Earn it again. That's my big test with Chivu. As far as Chivu ball, I think it can really work. And I like playing like this. I like being super aggressive and upfront. And from all accounts, like the issues as far as breaking down the low block is he wanted to change things too. And now it's a matter of like, all right, do I believe in Chivu ball? Yes, but it goes back to the first thing of like, does he have the courage to mix things up? And as far as the squad is concerned, I really like a lot of the players in this team. But this is the one that I doubt the most. I doubt the squad more than I doubt Chivu at this point. And it's from a mental standpoint. It's not from like a player talent standpoint. It's just from are the guys strong enough between the ears to be able to pull off what needs to be pulled off in order for this to be a successful season and in order for us to turn this around. And that's the thing that I'm most concerned about. And I think part of unlocking that in these guys is to sit some of them, is to change their role, is to put them on the spot. Inzaghi didn't do interviews. He was done with them. Now Chivu is doing all the press conferences. Does he send out some of these guys for media obligations that maybe were behind the buck? Like the interviews have already been done, but I would love to go back to Twitter when we're done with this episode and see that Jan Sommer got in front of the cameras and said, I needed to stop that goal at the end of the game. Like that's part of this. That is part of this where it's, they can't hide anymore. They can't hide. All right, Johnny. Anything else about this game before we get into some of these listener questions?
No. Let's get into it. I did just see a speak pipe came through, so.
Okay. I'll load that up, but let's start with at M6 Zeki with 2 eyes. Is Sommer finished? Other than their first goal, he should have saved the other 3. Do you guys agree?
Yes, without question.
That Sommer's finished.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't think that Joseph Martinez should be on the bench anymore. I just, at the very least, he's at the same level, if not better, with his feet. And everything that Interisti have been exposed to as far as his shot stopping in an Inter jersey, it's been excellent.
Agreed.
It's been excellent. So let's see what it looks like. And again, Johnny, we're both saying this, like, I don't want to go off the expectation anymore. It's like all I've seen from Joseph Martinez is he can play the fucking ball quick and he's been a good shot stopper for Inter. I already saw it. Like, let's keep going. At Artwined, it really feels like we gave it every little ounce of clutch energy we had last year. Even when we went up 3-2, when I saw how much time was on the clock, I started panicking because I don't trust this defense anymore. Yeah, we, on the same page there. Peter Jordan, at no point so far this season have we looked defensively solid. Mistakes and poor performances by senior players continue. This is a serious mountain to climb for an inexperienced coach. Need a performance and a win on Wednesday to get some positivity back in the group. That's true. So I guess maybe the question that can come out of this is the best back 3 for Inter from a defensive standpoint. Bisek, Akanji, Bastoni, Akanji, Acerbi, Bastoni, Akanji, De Vrij, Bastoni.
Oh, man. That's... I'm going to go... Just because I don't know I really don't know what to expect with Bisek. I'm going to go Bastoni, De Vrij, Akanji.
I think you can make an argument for that. I don't know why we haven't seen De Vrij get any minutes. Apparently, he didn't look great for the Netherlands. Automatically, I rule out the one with Bisek. So then it becomes like, Acerbi or De Vrij. And I thought Acerbi looked bad in the first 2 games. Actually, I don't remember. Yeah, there were a few Torino breakaways that he looked bad on. I thought today was maybe his better performance of the season. But at the very least, like, can I just see what De Vrij looks like back there?
Yeah.
All right, let's hit the speak pipe. Gino Panino.
Gino Panino from Vancouver. Finished watching the interview game. Like the team spirit and the character to come back. Should have closed the game off and not let that goal in to tie it and at least win it. My thoughts on Thuram, or your thoughts on Thuram. Not celebrating when we scored, giggling with his brother in the 91st minute. Something tells me something's up with this guy. As much as I want to succeed at Inter, I don't know about the attitude and what he carries with him, the chip on his shoulder. Let me know your thoughts. Anyways, Gino Panino from Vancouver. Forza Inter always. Long season ahead.
I mean, yeah, we brought it up, right? The concern there. It's kind of funny then, like if your goal or your desire was to be a Juventino, why not just sign with them when you were a free?
Yep.
Like I don't get it. Like and what's scary, I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but I could see Juve trying to offer like Vlahovic for Thuram in a swap.
Why are they talking about Vlahovic already having a pre-contract agreement with Inter? Boni should be here for the long term. Pio should be here for the long term. I don't think Lautaro is going anywhere. That is a legitimate thing to bring up.
Yeah.
Is it going to be Thuram there, Vlahovic here?
I hope not.
I hope not too.
Like,
I hope not too.
Sell him anywhere but Juve. Anyway,
Because you know.
I don't care. I don't care if honestly, I don't care if Barcelona comes in with a $20 million offer. I really don't. I know he's worth more, but I would rather lose him to Barcelona on a cheap than do any type of swap with Juve. If that ever, I mean, I don't
think they do a swap, but I think that it would be.
But it would kind of be like an implied swap.
I could see next year Vlahovic signing for Inter and Thuram getting sold to Juventus.
I would be so sick to my stomach.
No. I don't know what it is, and I am really just hoping it's like the awkward scenario of playing your brother and your dad's in the stand, having been part of Juventus, and not knowing exactly how to handle the respect thing. I'm hoping that's just it. And my advice to him would be understanding of your family situation, but also when you pull on the jersey for Inter, essentially you're pulling on your war armor and you're going to war, and that's how it is. Lose your fucking mind. Lose your fucking mind if you put the ball in the back of the net for your team. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. Johnny, is it right to adjust expectations 3 games into the season, or do Interisti need to take a little bit more context out of these results than just the results themselves?
I guess it depends on what your expectations were. Like I had us finishing second. I did. I didn't think we were going to win the Scudetto.
Do you adjust second place?
To me, anything except winning, as long as you're top 4, is like second or fourth doesn't change, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Like all you're changing is how much money you get to win from the league at the end of the year.
Which is not even that much.
It's not.
Money
it's negligible. Yeah. So like it doesn't make a difference. If you don't win, it doesn't matter. But top 4, not finishing top 4 would be inexcusable, regardless of who the manager is, because of who you have on this team. And look, I was hoping to switch from a back 3. I really did. I thought that it was time to bring in something different and something that gives you a different wrinkle. I feel like people kind of know what to expect and how we're going to line up each game. So that was my only wish, but it depends on what a person's expectation was on the season. If you really thought that we were going to win, maybe you should, think a little differently. I'm not saying to give up hope entirely. Like I still hope that we win the league, but right now, granted, it's only 3 matches. It doesn't look great.
The most that they can get out of the Juventus tie this season is 3 points, 3 out of 6. And I would have hoped that if Inter was going to win a Scudetto, it would have been at least 4.
Mm-hmm.
That's concerning to me. That to me means that against Napoli, against Milan, against Roma, 2 out of those 3 potentially need to be 6-pointers. You may need to sweep the season series against a Roma and a Milan. And to me, that is a tall task, but it has to be done. If this is a title-winning team, you need to sweep. You need to sweep a big tie, home and away. If Inter beats Napoli at home and away, I would hope that we are challenging for a Scudetto at that point.
Yeah.
Inter's slip up hopefully has occurred very early on, and hopefully other teams' slip up is going to occur sooner rather than later, but you can't count on it. And again, this is a long season. So 35 games left. Right?
Yeah.
35 games left. I'm not going to come off my position just yet. Obviously, guys. Obviously. All right. Anything else, or you good to get out?
Yeah, we'll see you after the Champions League first match.
Yeah, I think this was an important episode, Johnny. I think it was reasonable and honest and not hyperbolic. And I think that is important in these times. So I hope you guys feel the same way. In the words of the great Roberto Scarpini, forza ragazzi, forza ragazzi, forza ragazzi.